Hey everyone, it's Sean with Raw Town Motorsports. Today we're working on a B18C GSR Mini Cooper. Yeah, these things are pretty wicked. The guys over at Gildred Racing brought us over this Mini Cooper. It's kind of covered up, but they have a customer with this car and it's been built by another shop somewhere, and I guess it's gone through a couple of different shops, and you know, it came to us because it's been having some head gasket issues. At least that's what they're complaining. So I did a few tests to it, did some leak down tests, did compression tests, and you know, it was kind of passing a lot of those. It did fail leak down on cylinder 3. But last night, Carry-On got to work on this thing and pulled the head. I'll show you what we found. So, got the head off last night. We're looking at everything. That number 2 cylinder, the walls look pretty messed up. It did pass a leak down, but obviously the piston was at the top of the cylinder when performing that test. This could be why it was failing leak down on 3. You can tell aftermarket pistons, it's sleeved. The head, we just got a straight edge on the head last night, and you know, cylinder 4 looks like it had some detonation in it. We still need to fill up the cylinders with some water, see if they're leaking down at all. But so far, it's kind of, you know, the condition of the block's looking good. We're kind of expecting warped head. We're kind of expecting a warped block at that. I actually wasn't expecting a sleeved block, but, you know, this thing, just seeing all the parts, it's been built pretty stout. So it's built to be withstand failures and a lot of cylinder pressures. So I'm going to give the guys over there at Gildred Racing a call and talk to them about a couple things, but so far, this is what we got done on it. In this video, you can see I'm putting compressed air into the exhaust port. And this is number 3, where you can see that it's leaking by pretty bad. This is how it failed the leak down test. All the other ones were good. Let's just hope this one just needs a valve job and a lapping, not a bent valve or anything like that. So we called the guys at Gildred Racing. We're getting a plan of action together. We're gonna figure out how the customer wants to move forward on this. But after we talked to him, I started looking us over a little bit closer, just trying to figure out what the heck happened, because we're not really getting any direct answers on what actually caused this a failure. But one really interesting thing that I found, and I'll show you. For anybody that's built a Honda before, can kind of tell right off the bat what one of the differences would be. And what I think is a piston was installed backwards. Usually the bigger valve reliefs are for the intake side, the smaller valve reliefs for the exhaust side. And you can see pretty much right here, see how small the gap is? And see how big that is? Like, this is for a smaller valve, and that is for a bigger valve. I believe these pistons are installed backwards, but well, I mean, when we get this thing apart, we'll be able to really tell, but it's not looking good. Hey guys, Sean here again. Just got a little update for the Mini Cooper. Just got off the phone with Gildred Racing, and basically, we're going to continue with this. So some of the stuff that we found, you know, it came in for a blown head gasket, oil mixing with coolant. We did our test, found a little issues. Everything was straight. The block surface and the head surface were freaking perfect. We did have a bad leak down. So we started looking a little bit more in the block. I'll show it on another video, but I believe the pistons are installed backwards, you know. So what we're going to be doing is with this build, the customer isn't doesn't necessarily want a fully built B series like this. He wants something more that he can drive, he can take to Cars and Coffee, take to a racetrack if he wants, but not overbearing power. And this thing was built like almost 13-to-1 compression, we believe. It has probably like 11.5, 11.7 to 1, maybe 12 to 1 pistons. But the head's been milled like a bunch. Like there's not much left on that head that we could do with. So what we're doing is we're gonna be adding some lower compression pistons. We're actually gonna do a thicker head gasket as well, try to get the compression down. And we're actually gonna be tuning this on 87. As bad as that seems, we wanted this foolproof. You know, we do not want any more engine issues, and this guy has been having nothing but engine issues, and multiple shops cannot figure it out. So we're gonna get it handled. We're gonna get it put together. We're gonna be pulling the motor today and basically get it all disassembled. I wanna make sure that the pistons are actually, I'm pretty sure they're installed backwards, but I'm gonna confirm that today. Hopefully get everything out today and inspected, and then get the block over to the local machine shop in Santa Maria and get this thing honed out. The cylinders are looking pretty rough. We want to get it a little bit opened up and then figure out what size piston from there that we want to go to. So yeah, let's watch. Finally got the engine out. Boy KJ putting in work. Now we got to remove the engine from the cradle and get this thing torn apart so we can send off to the machine shop. So far, looking at this, I'll show you right now. If you can see that bearing tang, it should be facing the crank pulley. So what my thoughts are is I'm pretty sure this piston and rod were assembled together correctly, just not in the motor correctly. What I'm looking for is just make sure, you know, some of this stuff, I just try to look for any damage that we can actually see. Since we're having issues, try to be kind of a detective when you take things apart. You know, you got to see where there's been other issues happening. See if it can tell us anything about what's been going on or how it was installed, or if there's anything else that we really need to be paying attention to. but it's all looking pretty good. Kind of, I mean, so right here you can see, let me see if we can get a better look at that. These are like detonation marks. I'm pretty sure this guy was running like 87 octane, this crap California gas. And you know, this is like, it's like a piece of aluminum or something, because it's got stuck down in this ringland. Kind of welded itself to the side of the piston. You can feel it, the extra material right there. Right here, I'm just looking at the rod journals, just looking for any apparent scoring, any marks for any damage that I should be looking out for. All right, guys, so I was taking the engine apart and noticed a little bit of crank in play, and I just wanted to measure it to make sure. So I got it zeroed out right here. Gonna pry on a little bit, and we got about a little less than 9 thousandths, maybe a hair more. Walking, you know, this thrust clearance is not ideal, so we're gonna take a look at spec, and then I'm gonna take a little bit closer look at these bearings when we get there. So after checking the thrust clearance specs online, it's 4 thousandths up to 14 thousandths, which I don't know, this one just seemed aggressive. And as you can see in the next little part, you'll see how beat up the thrust bearings look. So a little concerning to me. I got to do a little bit more research on these race engines to see what I think I'd like it a little bit tighter. It seemed pretty excessive. So there was no scoring on a crank, but I don't know, just seemed like a little bit too much to me. Remember how we checked the bearing end shaft play, or the thrust clearance? Those look pretty worn, man. Okay guys, so finally got everything apart. So first looks at it, crank bearings look fried. Over here on, I think it's number 3 or 2, look at that gouge. I mean, that thing is enormous. Overall, the quality of parts look good. There's no excessive heat. We didn't really have a bearing failure. We just had some pretty major scoring. Crank looks good. That's a good takeaway. I mean, the cylinder was really had some junk in it. But overall, it looks like just another set of bearings. We'll put some race bearings in this thing. We'll get the crank polished up. I think we caught it before some major catastrophe happened, and I think that's really good. So, one other thing, pistons definitely installed backwards. They were on the rod correctly, but they were installed in the block incorrectly. So I'm sure that didn't have any, that wasn't helping us with everything going on with this thing. I don't necessarily think it is the reason for blown head gasket, but we'll have to do a little bit of research, more research on that to make sure. So my biggest takeaway so far is I think we caught everything in time. I think we caught it before this was a bigger problem than it was. I'm glad that they didn't drive it much after, because who knows? Just the markings and some of the bearings seem like it's had some pretty heavy metal in it. As I saw earlier, the oil pickup tube definitely had some chunks in it. I haven't been able to clean it out to get them out yet to see what they are. None of the bearings look like they were missing any material, just that they're pretty abused. Like, this doesn't seem like it was a fresh built motor. It seems like it's been together for a long time. I don't know. I was told that it was refreshed, recently. The big thing was the thrust clearance. I still need to look up the specs on that so I can compare it to with what we found earlier. I think it's pretty bad. Seeing copper or whatever with it, that looks toasted. It looks like it's just been being abused this whole time. So once I see spec and see how far out it was, hopefully a new set will alleviate our stresses. I didn't even think to look at the journal face, but but that's something that we're gonna have to look over. We're gonna have to get a second opinion from the machine shop, at least get their opinion on what they think and see if it's savable. I pretty much think that we just need new bearings. We need to get the pistons ordered. I need to measure the bore right now so that I can make sure that we order the right piston. Because I don't even know if this is 84 millimeter, if it's still 81. There's no identifying marks on the pistons. There is a part number, but there's no brand name or anything. So it kind of tells me that they might be pretty old. I mean, most piston manufacturers nowadays have laser etching that they do into all the pistons and grind or cast even in their logo. So this one doesn't have it. I'll just have to look up that part number and see what it is, and we can go from there.